I still want a girlfriend. Bunch of Neanderthals.
Next time I'll kick your ass!
Please comment and let me know where I messed up, and please like and subscribe if you gained some insight or entertainment value from this video. Let's not waste any time. Let's get this worst one out of the way. Oh, good Lord, it cannot be done soon enough. It is very difficult to count how many ways that this guy sucks. You need a friggin' calculator! Kenji, he's just awful! His entire story arc revolves around him pursuing and further investing himself in an inappropriate relationship with his own teacher. The concept is bad enough, but his attitude towards girls in general, how he's always asking the protagonist about his statuses with Yukari and whether he can just waltz into a room, how he boasts about stealing a teacher away from all the other guys who aren't trying to do this, you mean? And the fact that he gets convinced that a simple tutor acceptance by her meant true love is beyond naive.
I'd hate to see you end up becoming a loser, you know?
I sincerely hope the irony of that statement isn't lost on anyone. What a sleazebag! It goes all the way with this. He's all about going to cram school to make sure he can provide for her with a brand new life.
As soon as I graduate high school, I'm gonna marry Emily. You think that's a good plan?
Do I think that's a good plan? Do you remember when you were 16 years old? How many of us were even ready to do basic things like cook for ourselves, let alone provide eternal happiness for the love of our lives? Holy jeez. Everyone who plays this know how this is going to end before it even happens, including the whole, oh my god, everyone's found out thing. Inappropriateness aside, even the general progression doesn't make sense. At the end of Link 8, he's like, oh, I'm gonna need a plan to make this work, and you're gonna have to help. First of all, why would you ever collude with him in this inherently awful dumpster fire of a situation anyway? But even if the hero wanted to, that never happens. The next day, they're going for ramen, and it just so happens, by the luckiest coincidence in the world, they see her with another man. The protagonist doesn't do anything, besides maybe laugh at Kenji's misfortune. That's what I wanted to have him do, but I chose something else because I thought that would get this debacle of a social link over with sooner. What's worse? This is one of the very few social links that's forced upon you, and it happens right after the start of the game. Oh, you don't want to interact with Kenji? Nah, too bad. No, you're playing the game. You take this, and you invest in this character. Do it! Couldn't they have given this to literally any of the other more upstanding students and left this one optional one for players who, for some reason, were interested in this ridiculously inappropriate love story? Oh, and Kenji's name is very reminiscent of Kanji Tatsumi, one of the main cast of Persona 4, who I wish we could bring into this game to kick this creepy kid's ass. This is the kind of person whose motives would become clear soon after you met them, and so you would just stay away. But if you want to max out your quest for social links, you can't do that. You're forced to endure his ineptitude and dumbassery. You have to encourage him to marry this woman, and then be there to console him when his naive outlook on his future and love life crumble into bits at his feet. It's pathetic and sad.
Why, Emily? Why?
Even if he wasn't so unlikable from a personality perspective, look at this guy. He's the most cliched, blasé anime trope character in history. There are no distinguishing features that stand out as like, oh wow, I gotta get to know him. Maybe that's why he's resorted to his excuse of liking mature women. No one in his own age bracket wants anything to do with him. It doesn't improve as you move through it.
I still want a girlfriend.
Oh, trust me,
Unless you are a completionist, avoid the rest of the social link like it's the plague.
Let's swap numbers. Bust out that cell phone.
Yeah, bust out the cell phone? How's this for a response? Shut up and eat. The reason why this one is so low is because it is absolutely unnecessary.
I'll admit, this starts strong, capping off the fool social link, and then unexpectedly motivating the player onwards as the party comes to grips with the inevitability of the situation.
But after that, there's not much to it.
This cheesy, predictable, let's go team dialogue, which arises after each Gatekeeper Guardian defeat, was going to show up regardless of whether it was part of a social link or not. I'm not against the concept. JRPGs often lay the power of friendship, no regrets, this is what real heroes are, and we have to win this flavors on super thick. But for an entire social link to be comprised of each party member saying the same thing in slightly different words, I just think Atlus could have done more. For example, have some emotional get-togethers among several of the main cast at a time as you progress through January, instead of regurgitating this "we can do it" jibber-jabber for an hour. In fact, the protagonist just echoes the same damn thing 9 times. I can sense everyone's strengthened resolve. I can sense everyone's strengthened resolve. I can sense everyone's strengthened resolve. Everyone's strengthened resolve.
Strengthened resolve.
I can sense everyone's strengthened resolve.
Strengthened
I can
resolve.
sense everyone's strengthened resolve. I can sense everyone's
Strengthened
strengthened resolve.
Strengthened
Strengthened resolve.
Strengthened resolve.
Yeah, we get it. They're about to face Nyx, who they already knew they were going to face. For a month now.
There's only 22 social links, most of which take months to complete. But this one, from level 2 to 10, is maxed out in an hour and isn't really evolving throughout that time. Judgment is a heavy topic. Maybe give Officer Kurosawa a chance with this. We never find out anything about that guy at all. You could explore the moral dilemma he has, selling weapons to teenagers, investigate his inner monologue about what's really going on with the Dark Hour, and maybe go into some inner workings at the police station, some conflicts he's having with his superiors. Any of that would be more unpredictable and compelling. Again, there's nothing offensive or otherwise aggravating about what happens in the social link, but there's no reason for it, especially since there's already an entire party bond link that we just referenced, which will be ranked much higher.
As Judgment can be in real life too, this social link is repetitive, rushed, and saturated with cliches. Next!
Cause's social link serves as an introduction to the clubs and teams you can potentially join while at Gekukan High School. While this would seem like an interesting backdrop, and it is to start with his confident, obviously high skill level,
From now on, you're mine after school. Better not think you're getting the easy treatment just because you joined mid-season.
getting you intrigued at where this is going, this social link quickly grinds to an aggravating standstill. He loses a lot of his allure and influence immediately, as the protagonist destroys him at practice.
Kinda sucks. You totally destroyed me.
And it gets worse.
Persona has always dealt with some intriguing, heavy issues. You contemplate the meaning of life, the inevitability of death. You contrast the straining, arduous struggle with the elation of overcoming something that you never thought possible before. Well, here in this social link, the dramatic point of contention is that Kaz hurts his knee.
Let's get go. Ah!
I'm just pausing for a minute to let you get over the emotional trauma that this situation entails.
I think I might have twisted my knee. It's my knee.
His knee hurts.
Damn it! Seriously?
And That's it. It's pretty deep.
You go through so many annoying, repetitive segments of Yuko and the track team wondering how he's feeling or why he's missing practice. You hear him whine about getting x-rays, which should be useless as there's obviously internal damage going on here, not external. This would require an MRI. Anyway, once you progress the thread a bit, you're just talking with him outside of school every day, listening to him complain about his knee and how bad it is. There is a more sympathetic string added later on, as he struggles with keeping a promise to his nephew, so the young kid can get inspired to progress through rehab. But this could have been handled much better. Where is this nephew? Help us emphasize with him. They could have brought him in and put him on the spot after one of his doctor appointments or something. Have the nephew visit the hospital. In Maiko's link, there's parental conflict involved, and you actually get to play an active role in sorting this out. You see the drama unfold. But this is just all given to the player secondhand, before, during, and after the crisis.
Hey, let me know if I become a burden on you, will ya?
You are burdening me. You really, truly are.
His Max link also kind of contradicts himself.
I realized I can't keep thinking only about myself.
But he wanted to race to inspire his nephew to be able to walk again. Isn't that kind of selfless? Now he realizes he has to think of himself first and heal up to be of any use, which is fine, but it doesn't make sense with how he messages this. Yikes, not the best writing. Kaz ranks slightly higher than the social links that have come before because he's not really a bad person or anything, and it gives a glimpse into the athletic clubs of the school. The underlying conflict, though, doesn't grip me, and it's repetitive as hell.
I think I might have twisted my knee. Forget it. Let's go.
What's more, he assumes an almost identical role to the next social link on our list. A thousand apologies for the redundancy. That's the main reason why Mamoru is this low on the social link ladder, though. He and Kaz have so much in common.
They're both athletes. Hell, they're both runners, and both of them are trying to keep their families in the best situation possible. Mamoru is higher because I felt a bit more sympathy and emotion considering his plight. Despite the tough lot he's endured, he's kicking ass and winning all of the races, instead of being in a perpetually injured and whiny state. This dude is so good, he eats for free at every restaurant in town, but he has to do that for the scholarship money. Securing his future, he feels, is the only way that can keep his large family fed. And when his mom passes out from overworking herself, that's a tough thing to hear.
Damn it! It's all my fault.
We all know someone who works too hard, and some of you out there might have had that similar feeling of feeling useless when a bad fate befalls that person through a chain of negative events, even though it was from no fault of your own. So there's higher stakes here.
The amount of work this guy must go through is a list a mile long, but the biggest issue is the lazy character concept. He's another track star with family burdens to deal with. He just has more talent and more baggage than Kaz. There's more activities to do in high school. Heck, there's more sports even. Couldn't they have created a new one for the kendo team or the swim team? You're never even given a choice to join those clubs. It would have given some graphical and thematic variety as well. Some of his sessions don't seem to have any point. Like here, he just talks about how he's more hardcore than the other athletes, which we already knew from the very beginning.
Sorry, that was a weird conversation.
I'd call it pointless, but yeah, sure, weird, whatever.
And really, who runs 100 laps around the city immediately after competing in a food eating contest?
I don't care how good a shape this guy's in. Jumping off and running a mile after eating that much, that fast? There is no way his bowels are going to agree with him. He's going to end up in the washroom or even a more embarrassing situation very, very soon. Oh, man.
Another thing that pisses me off about this social link is how many days it steals from the summer. You have to train for days on end when you'd rather have the protagonist fighting monsters or flirting with people. And all to what end? To lose no matter what, and then meet another guy who's just a buffed up version of the other guy you already met. This is a lazy effort.
If you see him again, tell him this.
Next time I'll kick your ass!
Our next social link definitely cannot be described as lazy. But what's worse, a lazy person or an overbearing one?
Kenji is a creep. Hidetoshi is not. He stands for the Emperor, attempting to rule justly over the student council. But he's almost as unlikable. Dude can't possibly fathom the student body dressing differently.
Yes, because it is nonsense.
Because it is nonsense. Yeah, you listen to me. Yeah, I'm a somebody, damn it.
Look, you have two choices. Either help out and prove you can be trusted, or refuse and prove you can't.
He's such a hard ass. Girls, unsurprisingly, don't care for his methods either. Accusing people in the hallways left and right. I swear, he is obsessed with this cigarette butt in the toilet as if it were a robbery or an ongoing bullying abuse situation or somebody threatening to hurt themselves. He even drives off his own student council members away with his obsessiveness and refusal to listen to other opinions.
With that logic, this is never gonna end. I'm done with this. You're on your own.
It's both appalling and unrealistic how much attention is paid to this one pretty minor incident, as well as how long it's drawn out. Depending on how often you talk with this prick, months may have passed, and he's still not any closer to solving this mystery, or adjusting his tone, or tactics. Chihiro mentions it on May 27th. Now, it's almost Christmas!
It's that cigarette butt in the boys' bathroom. I have to hurry and narrow down my suspects.
Narrow down suspects? You've waited 5 months to even get to that small step? Then, the big climax of this situation happens.
It seems the teachers want the student expelled as soon as we find out who it is.
Expelled? For a cigarette butt in the toilet? It's definitely wrong and deserves punishment, but that's going way too far. And secondly, the whole school year is almost over, and you still haven't figured this thing out? Look, it's still going on in January.
I think it's about that cigarette butt.
The world is ending in a few weeks, and this guy spent his entire last year of high school running around trying to find the owner of a cigarette butt. And then we find out that
The cigarette butt incident is going to be dropped.
oh my god! What was the point of all this then?
Hidetoshi does soften up, especially here when he speaks about amendments to the school uniform policies. So there's at least a sliver of growth.
Holy crap! Did that just come out of his mouth?
I think this is the first time he's cared about anyone else's opinions.
He learns about trust, but my god, it's such a simple, basic human skill that needed a whole year to figure out. He also provides a reasonable morale and makes some intriguing points about both society and sincerity. But the people he talks about are never seen or heard from, so it's not as impactful as other directly involved social links. And yeesh, it doesn't make up for how ornery he is the entire way through.
Bunch of Neanderthals.
Also, the entire saga plays out within the student council office.
Now that I think about it, we've never hung out outside of school before.
One thing I'll admit is he has good enough judgment to not once think that the protagonist had anything to do with the wrongdoing. So there's that. The moral code deserves some kudos, and it does show progress toward his enlightenment. But the whole experience is just a boring slog that doesn't have a lot of payoff. The activity dialogue makes no sense either. The hours flew by as I worked hard on my tasks. Anyone who's been a part of councils or committees knows that meetings in particular do not fly by. The only real good that comes out of this whole chore is that Chihiro becomes introduced by proxy.
I'm Chihiro Fushimi, the treasurer.
which is a link much higher up in the rankings.
Is that a spoiler? Nah, shouldn't be a spoiler.
This guy finally changes his mentality towards the end, but it seems like a very abrupt character switch. And who wants an entire social link based on discipline and rules?
They think freedom is a life without rules.
Well, buddy, here's the thing. Rules, procedures, playing everything by the book, that's everything that the core audience of this game, adolescents, don't give a rat's ass about. And neither do I. I'm a badass. Yeah. No, I'm not. But seriously.
Bunch of Neanderthals.
I don't have much to say about this one. I mean, it's just
Death.
the link serves its purpose well. Death is obviously a central theme to the game, and the plot threads that tie the protagonist to death itself have some exciting moments when you dig into that segment of the plot. But this isn't about those, it's about the social link itself, and it's as cliche as it gets. Oh look, he's wearing a prisoner uniform. What does that symbolize?
How interesting.
Oh, hey, his eyes and hair are so similar to Ryoji.
Wonder why.
Aigis doesn't like Ryoji?
You are dangerous.
The mystery isn't too tough to unravel. Another cliched feature is that Pharos has amnesia to start with, so as to not give away too much. Just slow trickles of plot feeding to the player as you go. It's the most tired and cliched JRPG plot device ever. You get links to the protagonist's parents' demise, the fact that it's the world itself wishing for death, and not a single entity intentionally causing it, how Strega is going to start to become a major player in the whole thing, and it gradually starts to come together as you interlace all the characters and events, as well as the whole backstory with Aigis. This social link is just plot material, without many realistic or relatable circumstances, and the foreshadowing is pretty easy to see through. All of those combined, to me, means that the death link shouldn't be ranked too high. Oddly, I didn't realize it just playing through the game, but this social link skips levels 2, 4, 7, and 9.
Death is really in a hurry.
Maybe that's why the Reaper can now follow you up the friggin' stairs in Tartarus. Game wants to make it crystal damn clear what the main message of Persona 3 is. One thing I will say, it's fitting that you have to max the death social link.
It's so true. True of this game. True of each and every one of our lives. But it's never a journey to be taken without hope. Whew. We're digging our way out of the worst now.
Bebe has many of our sympathetic ears right from the outset. I think almost all of us have had situations or times in our life where we just don't fit in, which is what Bebe's core struggle is. It's also gotta be at least somewhat amusing to be able to choose Bebe's salutation soon after the first meeting, quoting such Hollywood superstars as Arnold Schwarzenegger as a for instance, "I'll be back." Speaking of Arnold, Bebe's social link has some meat to it. First off, it's refreshing to see a fish out of water character who is absolutely loving the new place he finds himself in. Bebe truly appreciates Japan. He even takes up the challenge of crafting the iconic kimono with no experience. And when the news comes crashing down that he won't be getting the required funding to stay there due to his aunt's passing and uncle's stubbornness, it makes an impact. Just listen to this.
She was taken by the angels.
But that's also a bit of the reason why he isn't ranked higher. Bebe is repetitive to listen to.
Yes, you understand. And with you at my side, I know I will find a way. With you in my corner, I have nothing to fear.
Also, he doesn't seem to have any inherent flaws. Other links deal with a teenager's own limitations, mistakes, or shortcomings. Bebe is presented as just a victim of circumstance, because he's an outsider and there's a freak tragedy that happened in his family. He's also seemingly perfect at his sewing. He doesn't make any errors.
I must sow! Sow like the wind!
The only thing he was missing is that special connection, which he finds in the protagonist.
If my aunt was still alive, I would tell her about what a wonderful friend you have been to me.
Though I do enjoy how Bebe's own good nature, returning Bunkichi's wallet, leads him to find that lifelong friend he was searching for. I guess you can make the argument that if you don't form this social link with the protagonist and Bebe, his entire year and existence would be awful, and he would have easily crumbled and moved back, and we wouldn't get to hear this amazing letter that's written to the protagonist just before the end. In fact, if you fail to communicate with Bebe before the third full moon, you'll find a note on the door that reads, "You never came. Sorry, I am gone now." That does make a person feel guilty. Also, everything is 100% emotion all the time, whether it's sad, angry, or happy.
I made so much progress today. I want to stay here, in Japan, even if I have to eat dirt. And now, we put the final touches on this kimono. Merci, arigato. Thank you.
3 languages even!
It's fine to show enthusiasm, but even praise and warm fuzzies get repetitive when it's all that we hear.
Bebe still resides in the bottom half, but I respect his journey and his resolution. And I'll always respect how over the moon he is for Japan. This guy has some awesome lines.
Help! Emergency! Call the fire truck. May I just say that you have a wonderfully big heart for someone so slim?
And the portrait art during his more crisis-ridden moments. How can you not laugh looking at this?
The Gourmet King is so certain of his own thoughts. He's so persuasive in his arguments and so passionate, you almost forget that he's fighting some external forces on the outside, reality-based world that can get really dark.
This hitman type guy appears right at the start and makes this link very intriguing from the get-go, but it's too intense, too fast.
Just like the rest of them! You think I should have died instead, don't you? You don't think I'll ever hold a candle to my twin brother, do you?
There's a very odd split of super comedic and super serious stakes in this social link that are extremely jarring.
Damn it all! Why doesn't anyone take me seriously?
His food passion has some fantastic quotes within the dialogue, and completely random moments like moonwalking into a restaurant, multiple stomach emergencies, and you need to prove your interest in such odd food to even start the social link in the first place. There are some gross jokes too, that some may laugh at, but others may revolt upon hearing.
It's over. The baby came out good and healthy.
As you go through, you understand the king's insecurities about his appearance fairly quickly. And that's nothing that hasn't been done before, but the lengths he goes to combat his reality, referencing an afterlife where everyone's perfectly shaped.
I can finally be reborn into a worthwhile body.
That hurts to hear. This eventually results in him freaking out at the protagonist, unable to cope with everything. And it's here when he starts getting hits put on him by grown adults to physically harm him. Yeah, that's too dark of a direction to go down, in my opinion. He stole money. There's other much more sensible and legal avenues to pursue before you get low-life thugs involved. Then, there's a tragic backstory involving his younger brother, which is interspersed within the whole conflict, which is also muddied with certain cult philosophies and doomsayer logic.
But once we're dead, we'll all just be bones. You can't tell a handsome skeleton from an ugly one. This world is gonna end soon. All of humanity is gonna be completely wiped out.
It's crazy how this guy can predict the rest of the main story.
I get that there needs to be drama and conflict, but it feels like they tossed everything they could possibly think of into this character to make us feel for his circumstances, when just one of these elements would have worked, and probably better. Like, this hitman side story is a bit too over the top. Not to mention dumb of these two to hatch out their entire plan in a public mall where you can just eavesdrop. There's even a moment where the link is reversed that's out of your control because of how overdone the Gourmet King's reactions are. This social link is memorable, which is why it's up higher. I especially like the metaphor of eating to run away from problems, coinciding with all of his emergencies.
I don't get it. I was fine up until a minute ago, then suddenly I felt sick.
His body was trying to give him a sign that he needed to take a different approach toward his life. And thanks to the protagonist, he comes to terms with everything.
I hear you. You're right. I can never be like my brother. We're two different people.
That's admirable and all.
I just feel like the clash between the slapstick comedy and the hyper serious stuff knocks the Gourmet King's ranking down a few pegs. But hey, we're already at 14. Our fortune is starting to turn. I can feel it.
We're getting closer to my favorite half now.
Keiskue's ranking, I'll admit right up front, is boosted a bit by the fact that he loves art. It's always been a huge part of my background and upbringing, and it continues to inspire me today.
He's a humble kid, and his gentle, warm personality isn't a mask or manipulative. There's no curveballs that paint him as anything else. So you really start to root for him, especially once you understand the internal conflict Keiskue has between doing what he's passionate about over what his father thinks will set him up for best future success. His dad seems to really want to interfere badly. Like, even when he succeeds in art, he changes his tune, pushing Keiskue towards that so that the poor kid still feels it's the dad who's in charge of the whole situation. There's obvious artistic talent as he reaches the final judgment in the art contest, so much so that he gets guaranteed an award. But turns out he's actually really good at the doctor thing too.
I can do a more thorough check. Could you remove your shirt? Also, open your mouth and stick out your tongue.
That is so wrong. I can't believe they actually included this line, voice-acted line, in the script.
It's probably the most controversial line in the entire game, even though he's clearly not intending it to be. They went too far here. Whew. Well, moving on from that as fast as we can, his medical skills are naturally inherited from his parents, and it's neat seeing how he gradually finds passion for helping others in serious situations. He's able to set that apart from what his father wants for him and understand the worth of those skills from his own point of view.
So why is this link still in the lower half for me? It's a storyline carried by an abundance of scripted conveniences.
Every single time this kid is having an internal struggle about what he wants to do, there's some classmate having intestinal distress.
I feel kinda weak.
Or a coworker, or random elderly person, sometimes two of them, literally dropping dead in the street.
My chest!
Two of them on the same day that calls his skills to action. Most of us, knock on wood, haven't ever seen one person in our entire lives in a serious medical emergency, much less two people in two completely separate circumstances within 2 minutes of each other. The timing and all this is so ridiculously unrealistic. Here, he's just getting informed of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study abroad, but oop!
Hiraga! I've been looking everywhere for you! Mikarin just fainted! Come quick!
Someone fainted again! Better get him!
Are there not any qualified medical staff at the school to deal with these situations? Someone who might have more experience than a 17-year-old student? He says it himself.
I'm not a doctor.
And what are the odds that these boxes just decide to fall on the hero with no acting force on them, forcing Keiskue to play doctor again? It's important to have doctors and just people in general equipped with life-saving skills. And to be sure, these instances are not impossible, but man, how many people just coincidentally get ill exactly within his sightline or earshot?
Mikarin just fainted!
They could have come up with a better way to show the value here without all these Deus Ex Machina moments over and over.
I mean, if I keep you alive, we get to spend more time together.
They should have ran and got Keiskue. Right then and there. God, this kid always just seems to appear whenever somebody needs him. But here? Well, what about this?
It'll be okay.
Stupid video game logic. Oh, jeez. Let's just move on. God, stupid NPCs never there in the plot when you friggin' need them. God, all they had to do was save the guy, but no, can't do that. Pisses me off.
I have to respect this social link, because it's the only one that fleshes out the otherwise game gimmick character who sells you overpriced goods on TV infomercials in both Persona 4 and 5. This is Tanaka in the flesh.
As if this guy wasn't sketchy enough, in the PS2 FES version, if you talk to him on January 31st, you can skip all the arduous boss battles and it'll get you right to the true ending of the game. Who knew that deceit, smoke and mirrors, and manipulation had this kind of power? Not the best lesson to teach aspiring adults as they go for this game-breaking cheat.
Anyway, the fact that you have to spend 40,000 yen to even start this link describes better than words what kind of person Tanaka is. So there's one knock against it anyway, he leaves you broke. But if you want to see more than his bogus shopping channel, you gotta fork over the dough. We've seen countless examples of his character in media and in real life. Manipulative, greedy, and narcissistic. It's a funny kind of narcissism though, both in his desperate moments.
Don't tell anyone, okay? Please, I'll lick your shoes clean if you want me to.
And when he's trying to teach you skills like salesmanship.
Placebo. The stress is on the middle syllable. Very good. You're feigning interest well.
That's awesome. He actually makes some astute observations too. How many of us feel more at peace just because we've taken a first aid course or have a first aid kit in our house?
Who knows how we would actually respond in a life-threatening situation where we actually needed all this stuff? But hey, I got a first aid kit, and therefore I am completely prepared 100% for any woe that befalls me. Yeah, I'll just have it here. That's all I need.
He encourages aggressive stock trading, loves the greed and irony of those stockholders being his audience, all the while still being very paranoid of the protagonist revealing any truths about him.
If you go back on your word, you might be surprised to find your profile suddenly on an internet dating site.
Sometimes it goes past humor and shows his awful side though. He asks about seeing through people's bathing suits, then takes comfort in the fact that no one who complains about it not working would ever step forward and reveal their identity in a court setting, lest they be found out for purchasing such a creepy product in the first place. So he takes his money and moves on to something else. That's pretty low. Then there's the moments he feels he deserves sympathy for firing a worker.
What are you talking about? You should feel sorry for me.
And blames a financial situation on him, followed by his glee at using a high school reunion to accentuate how lesser his classmates turned out. Like really, money is everything, I guess. Full-blown narcissism, hiding behind a false self, and needing to boast about his accomplishments to anyone who will listen. The irony is that Tanaka has enough insight to acknowledge some very tough-to-hear truths, like how the world judges more by appearance than reality. But it's a philosophy that he himself follows.
I buy expensive ties to win people's trust.
All of this good and bad, mostly bad. It becomes very engaging to listen to.
And it even manages a bit of warm fuzzies, with the president eventually not worrying about the protagonist blabbing.
Well, I guess I can trust you. Run along now.
Maybe a narcissist can learn to trust. on very rare occasions. After getting alarmed at the prospect of righteous people actually fighting back, Tanaka begins to comprehend his own behavior from an outsider's lens, however slightly. He even donates money eventually to help some orphans, despite trying to cover it up as a long-term investment. Tanaka is extremely intelligent, but he uses his knowledge almost exclusively for the betterment of himself, so he stays in the bottom half for me.
I just can't promote narcissism. But I'd be lying if I said that this wasn't a fun social link to sit through. So, who is the unfortunate soul who just missed the top tier of Persona 3 Reload social links? Well, this person doesn't even have a soul. Yeah, they are that heartless. Maybe this one shocks you a bit? Or rage? Yeah! Stupid dumbass! Doesn't know jack about Persona! Activate keyboard warrior power! Yeah, you think you know something? I'm gonna tell you what I really think of you! Rage is a common go-to when we disagree. But seriously, a main party member in the bottom half? The character that's probably most important to the game's story? How?
In a similar vein to my Judgment social link explanation, Aigis' bond with the protagonist is something that just naturally happens over the course of the story anyway. You could just leave Aigis hanging the entire month of January, and she'll still learn how precious human lives are, she'll still cry tears for the first time when the protagonist comes back with a month of borrowed life, and will always be there in his final moments to let him pass in peace. Not only this, but since the link starts up in January, it's either burn through the month unrealistically hanging out with Aigis every second day, or just abandon it and max out all the rest of your maturing social links.
That's not to say there's no substance here. Aigis grows, and she notices it.
Simple realizations, like how she wouldn't have cared about the scenery, gazing over the Gekukan rooftops before bonding with people. Moments like dogs biting her, only to hurt their teeth, reaffirming her machine-based reality, making her budding human emotions cry out in pain. You chuckle as she struggles with human phrasing.
What goes around, comes around to hit you in the back of the head. She might be so hungry, she could eat a house. Or was it hungry as a house?
And there's a surprisingly touching subplot with this old lady teaching Aigis the lessons of loneliness and death through this missing cat. Come on, who didn't tear up when the old lady explains how, after seeing her one last time, the cat disappeared to find a place to wait out its final days alone? It's also interesting how Aigis' understanding of people's bonds together is already far advanced from most teenagers, as the granny's grandson simply lives for the moment.
What more do you need out of life than to have a blast?
To have a blast?
But a lot of these comments and themes, it's all baked into the main storyline. We're not going to go through the game without them, and as I've said, especially during the ending, this social link just reinforces what we already know about the themes, the character, and the story. So it can't really rise above the more original content the best half has to offer. I gotta give credit where it's due though. The voice actor for Aigis is just amazing. You really feel that rift between what her heart wants and what her physical makeup prevents.
I've come to realize that this is the kind of connection I can never have. As my heart grows more and more human, it only becomes clearer how much sets us apart.
But having said this, the rushed nature of the link contradicts how slowly the game portrays Aigis' understanding of human emotion. And for me, that's too jarring to put her in the higher tiers. Also, the romance ending with Aigis is just... it's awkward and strange. It's moments like this that remind us, oh yeah, this is a Japanese RPG, and if you delve into it too far, you might regret it.
If you make direct contact with it, your genetic information will most likely be burnt into it. Even
Whew! We're halfway through, gamers. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Just a reminder to like and subscribe if you're getting entertained by any of this. And please comment, because I love reading all your thoughts, even if my rankings make me look like a fool. The Fool Social Link highlights the major milestones in the story. It deserves to be in the top half for that fact alone.
You go from the basics of the basics, understanding the logistics of the Dark Hour and the general goal, and the widespread consequences of apathy syndrome, shadows, persona users, and evokers, which are never really explained well, to be honest. But I digress. The effects of Tartarus weigh on you and your friends as you struggle to adjust to this insane midnight hour. And the first adrenaline-pumping, exciting mission pushes your bonds to the next level after you survive both Junpei's childish arrogance and a time trial encounter with this disturbingly designed monstrosity. Even the attempted seduction using primal urge feelings from the Lover's Arcana fails to halt your progress as you liberate that sleazy hotel whilst attracting unwanted attention. You prevail over the evil Junpei at the beach. Or, you know, you just bond over finally being able to relax for a change. Mitsuru becomes vulnerable, explaining her childhood persona awakening and regretting getting the party involved. But they're all on the same page and rooting for each other on the eve of the final full moon shadow. And after vanquishing the Hanged Man Arcana, you partake in what you think is going to be the ultimate celebration. So you get this flawless image for posterity. But soon after, tragedy strikes with Chidori's sacrifice that only had to be done because of Strega's intense hatred and sadness as they wait for everyone to perish, bringing forth moments of sadness and hope back to back as the tumultuous emotional ride seemingly knows no end. In the aftermath, you are given the remnants of a passionate girl's talents lost far too soon, and the resolve to continue to fight returns, before finally coming to a head when you're told of an omnipotent entity that has arrived to deliver upon mankind the bleak, empty end that apparently many had been wishing for, which makes you steel yourself once again as you head into a rushed final month of training, trepidation, and anxiety before the fall. There's tons of revelations, a roller coaster of emotions, and suitably motivational moments in the Fool Link that encourage you to keep playing. However, because you're more of a passive player in this, even the protagonist doesn't have a lot of agency in how all this develops. I can't rank it any higher than 11th. Still, it's a testament to the quality of Persona 3's story that a passenger-based, automatic social link can be ranked this high. Oh, and curious to note, this is the only social link, other than death, to skip a level. In this case, rank 8 is not a thing. This is even weirder than death. I'm sure there's other significant moments they probably could have used as a talking point.
Damn. Was this not a big dramatic plot moment that would have banded the team together? It just seems shocking that they didn't include this moment as one of the growth levels. Well, anyway, we're headed into the top 10. Let the outrage commence! Stupid dumbass! Doesn't know jack about Persona! Oh boy, yeah. I'm gonna get some disagreements on this one. I have a feeling that Mitsuru is extremely highly regarded, not just in the Persona 3 cast, but across the entire mainstream series. Hey, she's in the top 10. Don't hate on me too much.
The link starts so slowly, like glacial. Yeah, I know, she's not easy to approach. We get plenty of evidence of that. But, I mean, the first 3 levels of this is silently eating at various restaurants, while Mitsuru rants on about the etiquette of slurping noodles, or showing shock at how she can't pay with her credit cards, or how anyone could just dare pick up food with their bare hands before ingesting it. There's no surprises here. It's made clear early and often that Mitsuru comes from the wealthiest of wealthy families.
think I am?
And since you can't start the link until the game's more than half over, players are given what they've already suspected to be true, having gotten to know Mitsuru over the course of the story. She doesn't know much about commoners' lives. It's very unoriginal. There's some sweet moments of genuine thanks from Mitsuru, but she gives out genuine compliments like this during the story beats too.
You were able to remain calm during the enemy's mental assault.
And then you go to the theater.
Purchase a ticket at the window and then walk in to enjoy a film. I've always wanted to try the whole theater experience.
Come on. She hasn't even done that?
You'd think she would have been to like a ritzy theatrical opening or advanced screening of some major blockbuster with her connections. The good news is that Mitsuru's conversations do get more interesting as you press on, as she weighs her absolutely intimidating future responsibilities right out in front of the protagonist, including a potentially heartless version of marriage, or that depressing outlook on what one loses once entering into that lifelong commitment.
I wonder if that means the most exciting time in one's life comes prior to the wedding.
It's cute hearing Mitsuru's resolve falter too, as she talks to the protagonist about her impending decision to marry. But we all know the biggest scene in the social link. I agree with popular opinion that this is the holy crap moment, when Mitsuru basically confesses her love for the protagonist. Enhanced by the amazing voice acting, it's a huge standout, and that's including all 21 other links.
I want to be with him, now and forever.
But if you stop and dissect the parts, it loses some of its appeal. For me, at least.
First of all, this is so out of character. Just days before, she was thinly veiling her affections, clearly too timid to bring up this reality. Now she's just, I love you! Also, the arranged fiancé is so cliche. I mean, of course he's 30-something years old. Of course he's got absolutely no positive qualities and is a total loser. And of course he has a voice that makes you cringe.
Ah, there you are. Hey, Mitsuru!
And obviously he's going to besmirch the legacy of Mitsuru's late father.
Oh my god. Oh, this is awful. All that's missing is a really pompous comment like, oh, you're a commoner, and thus you know nothing.
Commoner like you isn't even fit to breathe the same air.
Oh Lord, of course it's there. What? This guy is like the most cliched cliche to ever cliche.
If you were Mitsuru, there wouldn't be any deliberation at all. You just dump this asshole like the plague after hearing the first entitled comment he blurts out.
Good girl, Mitsuru.
You wouldn't even made tentative business arrangements in the first place. Because after all, this guy just seems like a really whiny coward who—
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Like that.
I know this is a big moment in the social link, but the combination of Mitsuru's complete personality change and the scripted appearance of this utterly awful, cliched, spoiled brat is just not believable in any way, shape, or form. It still belongs in the top 10 though, because despite her being inexperienced in romance
just isn't my strong suit.
Mitsuru musters up enough courage to, much more realistically, try and spell out the feelings she has for the hero. This is what keeps the social link in my good graces. It's awkward. She stumbles.
Here goes. I love you.
But she's honest and in tune with herself. She even uses her presidential power to give you this one-on-one time at the rooftop. Mitsuru recovers so swiftly, knowing she can't make the new developments public. But be damned if she isn't serious about it, making her ending scene all the more heartbreaking.
I need you in my life.
Now that is Mitsuru. Top 10? Absolutely. I just think there's 9 social links that are crafted with a little more heart. Yukari's link isn't anything special at first. In fact, it's honestly pretty underwhelming.
which goes against the intense plot moments of trauma bonding we experience in the opening hours. She apologizes for comments made at Yakushima, asks you opinions on flower colors, but you can already see the disguised flirting early on.
To be honest, any flowers would be fine if they were from you. Just kidding.
And part of what holds this from being a top-tier Link is we see this coming. Regardless of whether these two protagonists hug each other back at Yakushima, it's still a huge character moment and an emotional time for the two, which builds onto the fact that they were both possessed by the Lover's Arcana during the Full Moon mission. The game kind of artificially gears the player into getting these two together regardless, so there's not as many surprises in store when the romantic tension eventually surfaces. That's what hurts this rank. What's done more creatively though, is how you gradually get a sense of the impact Yukari's mom had on her. Beginning with this chance encounter with a lost child, you understand her short temper and suspicions of people like Mitsuru much better when you take into consideration how loose and unfit her mom became after her dad's tragic death. We learn a lot about Yukari's father, but if you skip this social link, you don't see the meaningful impact the mother makes on her as well. She puts it pretty black and white, and I respect this candid approach.
Running away from your problems by clinging on to others is the worst thing you can do.
The unevenness continues. There's a bit of damsel in distress later on that's a bit too over the top. I know the protagonist is more talented than everyone else on God's green earth, but come on! 3 against 1? Guys who all look bigger than him? This instance is one of the rare times a social link can get reversed too, if you choose the most obviously wrong, sexist dialogue choice in video game history. But it is done in a way that makes sense with Yukari's background. She needed help, hates admitting it, and even if you handle it well, Yukari doesn't. It's awesome that they don't depict Yukari as being flawless and always on an even keel. She loses her temper sometimes. These characters are teenagers, after all. She makes amends soon after, and comes to the realization that she's always pushing people away without realizing it, and so she puts tons of enthusiasm into preparing a getaway lunch. There's also a nice callback to her running away line, as she realizes she has to sit down with her mom to discuss what the future might hold. It comes together fairly well.
I'll try to call you more too, okay? He apologized for everything that's happened.
And the eloquent words she uses to define true love hits you hard. Topping it off, the reaction Yukari has if the protagonist chooses to engage in a romantic relationship is so well earned. You get the sense that she'd hoped this moment would happen ever since Yakushima. And then of course there's this line, which...
They'll hear me if I'm too loud.
Oh man, cliche rom-com cheesiness, but still funny. Hey, if you're still watching after seeing these two main female party members land at relatively low-ranked spots, well, that's just plain decent of ya. Thanks. Let's press onward and see which of the social links made the top 8. So, I'm old. My prime years were when the original Persona 3 came out. And back in 2006, there were honest-to-God chat rooms with minimum graphics and random geeks who would log on and roleplay, chatting and fighting monsters using pretty much just their imaginations. This nostalgia, admittedly, artificially bumps up the Hermit social link for me. It's wonderfully recreated and realistic, complete with tons of typos and that ancient shorthand keyboard speak like IMO, AFK, and IRL, which at the time seemed like futuristic, hip, and cool ways to talk. Hermit suits Maya so well. She's a total recluse on her days off, yet in reality is an upstanding high school teacher at Gekukan. The whole context is wonderfully shown in some of the hilarious dialogue choices, like sunshine is overrated. Another cool feature is how the increasing affection as the two talk merges with the medium and how they're interacting, like when she gives the hero a health potion even though he hasn't battled whatsoever. While players may get clued into the Maya character's identity fairly early on, if it takes you a while, you get taken aback by the fact that she was drunk during one of your sessions, and even was passed out at the mall, where she told off President Tanaka of all people. It's kind of ironic how someone that's a hermit can help someone establish a social connection. Miss Tsuruyumi's teacher personality comes out even when she's intoxicated. Like here, when she's clarifying that irregardless isn't a meaningful word, since it has the same meaning as regardless. Or how she gives an A+ in reading comprehension. You see so many adult problems come to the surface here. A woman fearing her inevitable aging and feeling weighed down even more by pressures of her mom trying to force her to get married. She has an irritating Mr. E who chastises her writing and comprehension classes, and a coworker she used to hang out with tons but now can't stand. So she hate talks her inappropriately and constantly, as if she's back in high school again. And it just builds upon itself as you start feeling sorry for the whole life situation of this woman. Whoa, wait, getting asked out and proposed to? Is this coworker that teacher who's involved with Kenji's whole social link? Ugh, sort of reference that. That is so awful. Anyway, you can see her rage at her boss as she just slams onto the keyboard's home row. The utter frustration of adulthood is there for the protagonist to see. And although he can't possibly understand it at his age, many adults playing this today who have felt underappreciated can. The humor is on point, merging the MMO's goal of fighting demons from hell with the fact that she may very well go to hell after smack-talking all of these real-life people behind their backs. To top it off, the real-life finality of that RPG shutting down is a shock to Maya, and the very desperate plan she comes up with is alarming in how forthcoming she's being. It's like, here, look at all this slander and flirting these two random people have done over the past year. Save the game! Now, it is kind of predictable how the student she gets a crush on is the protagonist, and man, does that come back to haunt her hardcore when you get to that final day.
It's me, damn it! You got a problem with that?
But this isn't nearly as awful as Kenji, who knows the age difference and knows full well what he's trying to do. Miss Tsuruyumi had no idea. For all she knew, the guy was a middle-aged man. So this last message left in the sand with keystrokes is actually pretty sweet. Just as a capper, this whole link is ripe with Persona 2 references, from the main game being called Innocent Sin, the opening message from Phil, and even the protagonist names from that ancient game, which suddenly make this deja vu line actually make sense. And it looks like they even updated it with a Persona 5 reference to cap it.
Just some useless information that you are never going to use, but hey, it's fun. Number 7. Wholesome. These two are pure souls without any malice in their hearts. The world needs more people like these two.
Even from the outset, this social link wraps its arms around you tight with kindness. Pleasant introductions and manners when asking the protagonist his name, small token foodstuffs like many grandparents dole out. You immediately want to help them with their persimmon problem as soon as it surfaces. You chuckle with good humor when Mitsuko sends you an amateurish text message that states within it how out of touch she is with technology. But your heart warms knowing that they want to see you again. They're almost always available too. It's almost like they let you decide when you want to visit them, and not the other way around. Like many elders we hold dear, they'll always have time for you. This is made even more impressive considering the lifelong tragedy they've had to endure, having lost a son so long ago and having this haunt them for decades. Even when that topic comes up and they voice their repressed trauma, the granny immediately apologizes to the hero.
I'm sorry for raising my voice. Did I scare you?
And Bunkichi, he apologizes to his wife.
And I forgot to consider how my wife might feel.
They never let any negative emotion overcome them. When the full problem comes into focus, that the tree is going to be cut down, they still insist for you to not make it a priority, and then feel guilty afterwards. But the old man still enjoys cracking bad jokes to keep the mood light.
I wouldn't worry about it. Glad you can joke around even at a time like this.
It's not perfect. For example, it takes a really long time for anything to really happen here.
The 6th link simply states that they accept what's going to happen and are sad. The end.
The rumor about cutting down the persimmon tree was true, so we went to the school together to say our goodbyes.
Also, the protagonist doesn't do anything of consequence. You find out that all the former son's classmates got a petition going to save the tree. The tree is right at the high school. Couldn't the protagonist rally some support around that? And it would have given the Link somewhere else to go besides this cramped bookstore. The saddest thing is that they actually think the protagonist started this whole rally cry. And when things are improving, the old dude wants to go see the tree. But you never see this. You just get the most boring text box imaginable. They could have constructed a very touching moment here when both are at the tree itself. It's also super easy to please these two. The game doesn't even present a bad choice. Like this here, would you rather pick, "That's great," or "That's amazing"? I'm excited. I'm exhilarated. Still, the ending is so bittersweet. It may almost seem like a pointless social link altogether, to find out everything only to have that tree cut down anyway. But the reference to the son's teaching background wanting to inspire youth as the old couple's reasoning makes a lot of sense. Even if it's still heartbreaking, the fact that they can rest easy knowing there's a new crop of kind, young people waiting in the wings says a lot for the value of this social link.
Helping children reach their potential is more important than clinging on to old memories.
And if you correspond with them on the final day, you feel liberated that everything turned out as well as it could have, with the transplanted tree now overlooking the school.
It's not the most exciting, but the world needs more patience, kindness, humility, and vulnerability. And these two sweethearts teach us why. And that puts them high on my list. And I'm guessing this bookstore couple would be a big fan of the person that's next up. Part of the reason why Fuka is ranked this high is because she keeps a very proud Persona tradition alive. The tradition of female high school students who are unable to successfully cook anything remotely edible. Nah, I'm kidding. But isn't that a fun place to start?
The foreboding dialogue is just priceless. Looks like I have no choice but to eat it. You know what's going down immediately as you read it.
Oh no! What do I do? I'll go get some water.
Next, despite what looks like an improved effort, even a desperately hungry stray cat bolts at the first smell of the bento box. You already feel sorry for Fuka. I mean, my god, she was stuck in Tartarus for over 2 weeks of school time. And now, months later, she finally opens up, and this is how everything starts? And you can be so rude as to suggest feeding it to shadows?
That's harsh. Even by Persona standards.
You sincerely want to root for Fuka. She already has an inferiority complex after all, chastising her own ideas and hopes before they even get going.
And it's not like I have any other redeeming qualities.
Yikes! But when she gets more comfortable, she drops a hint at what she's really good at. Yet even this, she doesn't let herself approve of, since not many girls share that skill set. Thankfully, the humor of Persona 3 always comes through to keep things from being too bleak. It's over a month later. She's tried so hard to improve, and upon offering the protagonist a rice ball, what he states is, it's edible, at least. Nah, I'm just bugging. He goes on to say it could even be called delicious. You just feel good inside seeing Fuka's improvement, because all she's doing this for is to help others. I'll admit, it does get repetitive sometimes. The sixth social link is Fuka basically regurgitating all her previous hopes and worries to the hero, and the constant, slightly reworded remake she has about wanting to be better throughout the progression eventually has even Fuka herself realize how ad nauseum these comments are.
I sure seem to talk about my problems a lot, huh?
That's to say nothing of her thanking the hero constantly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you for everything.
But for some reason, that repetition isn't as annoying as it would be from other characters.
Merci. Arigato. Thank you.
Fuka genuinely seems to mean it every single time.
Fuka's link is always evolving. Like when you hear of her worried anxiety being so strong that it stops her from even defending herself after an accidental book heist results in gawkers posting it everywhere on social media. It's tough to go through life thinking all hope is lost before you even make a single attempt.
If I'd just spoken up, I could have settled it right there. I know that, but I still couldn't say anything back. No matter what I said, it wouldn't do any good in the end.
I know all about anxiety, so this story hit home for me.
Her message of simple belief is powerful too. We have no idea if change will work out, or if the future will be good or bad, but might as well go into it with optimism, since we could think about it all day, and never predict it with any more accuracy.
You have to think positively, and trust that the future will smile upon you. How are you able to tell yourself that things will work out in the end?
I know it's hard, but if you ever find yourself blinded by fear, just go for it. Worst case scenario, you fall on your face and you get back up again. Even the protagonist had some unimpressive moments that are canon in the main storyline. And make sure you find some good people in your life. People who don't keep score.
When you're friends, you don't keep score.
It is so important for each of us to find happiness, because
People who've never known happiness probably can't imagine themselves being happy in the future either.
Fuka's Link represents what we will inevitably become if we choose not to challenge our own shortcomings, and as her ending shows, the rewards gained from the risks often are more than worthwhile. The fact that it ends with her embracing her machinery talent shows full acceptance of oneself in a discreet, humble way, matching her personality perfectly.
Let's try and be like Fuka and build up our inner strength. Or, for a better example, Yuko's social link probably best represents the arcana it's linked to. Strength.
This girl isn't going to take crap, including the boys she manages. And if people give her toxicity, she's going to speak up about it.
You won't have time to go around sticking gum on people's shoe lockers.
She's so different from most of the other female characters. Just more wholesome, realistic, and relatable. She's not particularly strong in school, and while she still has anxieties, it's refreshingly just typical teenager ones, like frustration with teacher expectations. Like, come on, just let me live and be young! I enjoy how her role as coach expands to teaching elementary kids, which itself organically starts with a chance encounter from a neighborhood boy in the mall, and that draws you into the scrappy, youthful team building against the malevolent 6th graders. It's a very well-developed subplot, all within one social link. The way Yuko just effortlessly seeks into a sweet burn after enduring all this harassment from the ditzy high school girls, who you can almost see the jealousy emanating from, is impressive. Strength of character is Yuko's jam.
What's wrong? Did I say something to offend you?
Not at all.
Hey, let's just go already.
She's not perfect. She'll second-guess her own coaching methods, for example, but this is followed by a willingness to ask for help. Coaching's a brand new thing, and she knows she's in over her head. Soon, she gets more confident with motivational speeches.
Yeah! Guts! Spirit! You can do it. I know you can. Think positive, and don't give in to fear.
Her past school mediocrity gets brought up again as she's tasked with writing the challenge letter. And it's adorable how the kids constantly pester her with boyfriend remarks.
Coach and the boyfriend! Good luck with your boyfriend!
Yuko's not caring about the future vibe gradually shifts as you progress through, with the close-knit bond she notices between her and the protagonist, as well as the amazing payoff from helping the kids tie the race. She begins to naturally find her own path towards a possible training profession. I mean, she has it down to the exact classes and the amount of hours she'll need to put in. The inner strength she has is insane. Even if you choose to have the protagonist and her remain friends, she moves forward gracefully with some awesome advice, never missing a beat.
Sometimes you say suggestive things with a straight face, you know? I get the feeling you might give someone the wrong idea, so you should really be careful about that. It could land you in some hot water.
She's fully aware of her own strengths and shortcomings, on display when she mentions the prospect of having a kid of her own, and the difficulties that would entail. Yuko just seems more adult than many people her age, both game characters and in real life.
in my opinion, Yuko's voice actor, Shelby Young, deserves a ton of credit for making this social link as strong as it is.
She emotes so much nuance that ranges from indifference
We're not dating. He's just a friend from the team.
to sarcasm
What's wrong? Did I say something to offend you?
to genuine praise and enthusiasm.
Think positive. If you think you're gonna lose, you will. Don't be afraid of them just because they're 6th graders.
Embarrassment.
Are you like this just with me? No, that can't be it, huh?
And vulnerability.
I want to be with you. Those are my true feelings, and I hope you feel the same.
Especially lumping her into the main cast, Yuko may not even be talked to by some players, so Shelby's commitment to the role boosts my opinion of her even more.
An amazing social link and an amazing character. Adding even more to Yuko's accolades is that she is required to meet the number 4 ranking on this list.
Ignoring me? Well, I guess I can't expect much from a kid of your generation.
Yeah, my choice for the 4th highest social link in the whole game is an old, bald, alcoholic priest who chain smokes and runs away from his problems. Oh boy, I should probably take this into a better place. Don't worry, I'm building towards something here.
Mutatsu is a delight. A crass, mean, hypocritical delight. The fact that he can impart so many life lessons, all the while being drunk and puffing cigars, it's an experience that's so unlike any of the other social links in the game. As the only elder figure, you'll witness even more harsh life realities than with Maya. It starts off innocently enough, as the protagonist actually has someone to ask about smoking and booze, and will get an honest answer. That's also the quickest way to progress the social link, by speaking your mind, which is unintuitive because, well, look at the contrast here.
No, just talk to talk, kid. Say what you mean and get straight to the point.
You're represented by a 16-year-old kid, and you're talking to a 60-year-old Buddhist priest. Who do you think is gonna have the high road when it comes to being able to speak what's on your mind?
Like at this point, it would take quite the stones to respond to that question with none of your business.
Well said. No hesitation whatsoever.
Even if he's sauced, he appreciates you telling him to stop drinking and go home. Mutatsu is not beyond lecturing, telling the protagonist he could give him a
swift kick in the ass,
and insisting using honorifics when addressing him. He'll pry, too. He criticizes that emo hairstyle, asks the protagonist directly what he'd buy, wonders why the guy doesn't have any friends. It's so sobering to think of what older adults come to know about life. Mutatsu takes a narcissist viewpoint into consideration, that relationships between humans can be 100% transactional, that if you don't get something from someone, it falls apart.
You don't call someone who doesn't like you your friend, do you? No, because you know you won't get nothing from him. Which means in this world, there's no one you can truly hold dear.
Even his lessons on money are pretty pessimistic, implying that anyone who wants this luxurious lifestyle will have to sacrifice precious time away from those they care about to get it. So it would be pointless anyway. He follows up by stating that living by oneself is the avenue to peace and serenity.
It's like, how could someone so rich in life experience continue to just self-destruct and have their priorities backwards?
We find out as we go. Mutatsu's initial constant shunning of the hero plays into his deep-rooted past of always running away when things went poorly between his wife and son. He softens as you visit though, although he feebly tries to disregard his interest in the hero. This increases even more in the second half, where his constant vices have put his own work in jeopardy, and soon he's too blitzed to even remember that the protagonist isn't his own son.
Who the hell do you think raised you, huh?
You come to understand that this routine has been going on for 4 years since his family left him. That respect never completely fades though. Even as his struggles surface, he adheres to his job's honor, helping the protagonist with amazing life lessons like this one, about stress needing to be attacked at the root. And he shows genuine ambition to change his life's course, which, as we all find out, gets tougher the older you get.
I get drunk to avoid facing my problems. Oh yeah, I guess you could say I'm running away.
Besides all of these tidbits, Mutatsu is just funny.
Guess I can't expect much from a kid of your generation.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's gonna make a lot of people laugh. But I'm talking even when he's not inebriated. He has some really good lines, like this.
Look at me, I'm old and ugly. My cheeks sag like a damn bulldog's.
The power of this social link is that it teaches the most life lessons out of any of them. Ironically, from a man who has never once followed his own advice.
The only part that doesn't jive well with me is his method of hiring a detective agency to find his estranged family. That just sends off a creepy vibe. And the fact that they magically reconcile after 4 years, in his condition especially, is a bit too optimistic for me to believe. But come on, he teaches you how to mix drinks at the end. That's pretty awesome. Just make sure you're 19 or 21 or whatever the age requirements are where you're located.
Ah, cheers to Mutatsu! So, Maiko's adorable, which is obvious to anyone who's played the game. And she complements this with a pure heart and a self-sustaining work ethic. This link gets to the heart of the issues immediately too, which makes it very engaging.
Even during the first interaction, you get a sense that Maiko's home life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Divorce is such an ugly deal, especially when kids are involved, and you know it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Speaking of rides, this link takes you places like Wild Duck, which conjures up Maiko's memories of happier times, and Takoyaki time in the town center. And each of these sit-downs eventually brings to light more of Maiko's difficulties, with some very tough dialogue decisions that definitely impact how fast this link grows. I mean, would we really have the heart to make Maiko sad with the most realistic choice? Or does being optimistic about her dad remembering her birthday hurt her that much more if the parents fail to meet even basic expectations? It's heart-wrenching to hear a lot of this. She's so young, and her spirits can be lifted so high easily that you worry it could all come crashing down in a way that would make her unable to recover. It's not all tense and gloomy though, like the pleasant surprise when you find out both parents were all in for Maiko's birthday party, and you have to adore her initiative, not shying away from bluntly asking both parents what's wrong.
I know! I'll just ask them why. If I know why, I can fix it and make it all better!
But the darkest themes rear up midway through as you learn of an abusive incident that I'm shocked remains in the Reload version, to be honest. This is so malignant. It's something that would realistically drive a child to actually run away from home, as Maiko attempts to do, and it's difficult to even continue the link at times after this chapter. But she's so no-nonsense about it, and so upbeat to put her plan into action, it makes you want to make sure everything turns out alright.
I need lots of snacks, right? And my insurance card?
And unlike other social links like Kaz and his nephew, or Keiskue and his disagreements with his father, Maiko's parents actually show up after she runs off, putting the protagonist in a very unenviable position, wanting to help the parents, but also wanting to protect her even more. I couldn't imagine being caught in the middle like this. You even get a sense of what the everyday chaos of their home life must be like.
You always like this. Everything has to be my fault.
Oh, that's because it is your fault.
Even after the whole divorce thing is settled, there's even more difficult choices to make, like encouraging Maiko to choose either her mom or dad to live with. Damn, that's so messed up. A grade school kid having to go through this. But it's an unfortunate reality that is becoming more prevalent today than ever. Maiko's voice actor, Grace Liu, absolutely owns this role when she tears up thinking about not being able to play with the protagonist anymore.
And then I won't be able to play with you anymore! It's no fair! I miss you too much.
Her unbridled joy when she's having a carefree afternoon.
Hey, come on! Let's play on the jungle gym!
The genuine curiosity if she's done well.
It was sad. But I listened to the whole thing. Did I do good?
And the sadness seeping through, even as she tries to be brave heading into an unknown future.
I'm moving far away. Dad told me I would always be his daughter. No matter how far away, we're still family.
And of course, that shy affection and admiration she displays at the end.
So, when I'm all grown up, can we get married?
Grace somehow runs the gamut of wild swings in kids' emotional states, and that makes this all the more endearing. Another bonus point in this social link's favor is that Maiko introduces Stripey, a fellow sojourner in this social link deep dive that, you'll notice, hasn't appeared in the rankings yet.
We'll see each other again, okay? I just know it.
If there was any justice, this premonition would have come to pass. Where is it? Where is the justice in this world? It is rare for a random NPC character to steal the limelight from a myriad of other romantic interests who spend a lot more time with the protagonist. But Chihiro somehow does this.
The growth she exhibits is remarkable. In the beginning, you think the protagonist is able to start a friendship with her immediately, but the lack of confidence and shyness completely overwhelms her to start with. You know firsthand this is going to be a slow ramp up. She tries to talk the hero out of the most harmless activity, like walking home from school, and subsequently won't even speak up after walking 2 miles in the wrong direction. She follows this up by apologizing profusely, despite the hero agreeing to go to the bookstore. But it's worth it. You see her gradually opening up and sharing snippets, which is all the more impressive when you consider her childhood trauma with a father who is apparently filled with rageahol, which in turn creates a real urgency to make this creep go away as Chihiro gets hit on. And that surprisingly starts the romantic feelings between her and the protagonist much earlier on than the other girls, as seen in Chapter 5, where she poorly attempts to mask her affections in a fake situation story.
And well, there's a boy who's been helping her a lot recently. Is she in love right now?
You have to respect Chihiro's old-fashioned approach toward romance, too. The appall and shock that registers when the flirty teens leave the library to make out is endearing.
Do they not know where they are? This is supposed to be a place of learning, and they're still just kids. So I say this, as a member of the student council, that kind of inappropriate behavior should not be tolerated at school. We should notify the student council president right away and discuss this at our next meeting.
And comes with some great dialogue choices that helps lead into a critical juncture where the protagonist has to decide how to confirm Chihiro's feelings in a way that she'll still feel comfortable with. Don't reverse this link! The right answer should be obvious, and you're just a jerk if you hurt this girl's feelings. The commentary just gets deeper. Realizing she's short on funds for a manga collection she desperately wants, Chihiro laments all the other things in life that up to this point she's felt she'll never be able to obtain. And even though the protagonist undoubtedly stays on her side when she's accused of stealing the student council money, this paints such a cynical picture of reality. Those more timid, weaker-looking individuals can get pinned blame on simply because they don't have the inner strength to stand up for themselves. Her family situation and looks even compound the suspicion. I'm very glad the hero gets a chance here to shut these gossip girls up. The best part is Chihiro's growing affection for the protagonist is what convinces her to finally overcome her timidness, directly defying both the intimidating Mitsuru.
No, I can't allow that.
Fushimi.
All I have to do is clear my name, right?
Directly confronting that teacher, which is the only weak part of this social link. It turns out the teacher just plumb forgot about the money, just as Chihiro said, and it's the most pathetic thing to witness.
Well, here we are now.
How could you?
Oh, God. There's no sudden twist or meticulous explanation. It really was this teacher idiot just being this dumb.
His rambling explanation is awful and doesn't make sense. He's supposed to be a professional. He knew he had the money there, and his excuse was that he just eventually forgot that he had all this student money at his house? Brutal. Still, you get this awesome moment of Chihiro's glee.
It's just...
absolutely euphoric at how she just behaved. It's a wonderful moment. Speaking of those, like all female romantic interests, Chihiro says, "I love you," near the link's conclusion. But other characters didn't have a brute for a father, scarring her impression of men growing up. They didn't have her lack of self-confidence or timidness, and these girls naturally possessed either more assertive personalities or natural charms and outgoing empathy that would encourage them to profess their feelings.
But Chihiro saying it? There's more weight behind it. It represents her ability to overcome childhood wounds, and celebrates a much more confident, dignified teenager who wants to acquire things for herself.
Oh, I'll be alright on my own.
And with number 2 done, it's time for the most anticlimactic number 1 ranking of all time. So let's get it done before the sun sets on another day. Not all of us have much time to waste. When I create content, I don't usually do a whole bunch of homework beforehand and compare what I'm doing to what everyone else does. For example, I didn't research a whole bunch of Persona 3 rankings videos, but I'm guessing Akinari's is near the top, as it is here, if not in the same position. How could it be anyone else? This social link is basically 2 young men talking about the inevitable encroaching death that's about to claim them both. One of them just doesn't know it yet.
Death is omnipresent in Persona 3. In subtle and not so subtle ways, it rears its head as a melancholy dominant mood, saturating individual characters and eventually the whole world you're participating in. This social link examines the harshness of this without flinching or backing off.
Damn it. What did I do to deserve this body?
Unlike the melodrama that can overdo itself in other social links, and arguably even in the main story, the pain and emotion you experience here affects you in a genuine way.
Any day now, I'm going to die. I have an incurable hereditary disease.
Terminal illness is one of the most unfair circumstances anyone from any age or ethnicity might be unfortunate enough to encounter. It's one of the most harshest realities of human life.
As noted in the beginning, when Akinari compares the glow and life of Maiko to his withered husk of a body, Persona has always been astute in putting our own personality and psyche in control of the dialogue, and the vast majority of us would certainly have responded, "I can't," when Akinari asks us if we can understand how he feels.
I didn't think so.
How could we? I certainly can't. Many of us have had struggles emotionally, or maybe we've suffered some freak accident or injury, and those things are nothing to scoff at. But we recover. We find hope.
Akinari's struggle is finding that hope, that evidence to reassure him that his life does have purpose. I hope people can learn from this social link. We may know, or eventually get to know, someone in this situation. And if so, instead of offering transparent platitudes or feel sorries, let's get to know them, what their interests are. There's more to everyone besides the negative circumstances they may be born with, and everyone deserves a hell of a lot more than pity and curiosity.
Sorry to disappoint them, but I'm not the poor soul they think I am.
There's so many contrasting emotions as you seek through. Akinari's initial joy of finding someone who actually wants to get to know him fades when his illness and realities come to the forefront, sending him into self-pity, which then has him pleading for you to stick with him just a bit longer.
Please don't leave just yet. It's almost too much for me if I'm alone.
Akinari's stance on keeping books unfinished makes sense. If there's still something left to read, if it's not the last chapter, he can escape for a while longer. Instead of having to deal with the unfair deck of cards reality has given him, he simply hopes for another week of life. He literally hopes for another chance, as in singular chance, to talk to the protagonist. This puts into perspective just how many of us take our lives for granted, and when he begins his book, you have an inkling there's going to be something tragic amongst the hopeful message it initially gives off. And as depressing as it is to hear that the bird gets eaten by his own friend, the pink alligator, Akinari's using his own life as a point of reference here. He doesn't find it that depressing. Even the text messages he sends make you well up. He's desperately trying to accomplish all he can and speak to the one connection he's made before everything is lost.
Some people spend 100 years patiently trying to find the elusive meaning of life. Well, this kid's trying to do it in 19, ditching the medicine that would ease his physical symptoms just to keep his senses sharp in the hopes that he'll be able to come to his own answer to life's question. We have no idea how lucky we have it sometimes.
And as his ending suggests, we may not find that answer or meaning in our place on this earth. But what we've done, what we've left behind for others, it might matter a lot. It might help people or inspire people more than we know. Akinari was given one of the cruelest fates imaginable, yet he's still happy he was born. Would he have felt that way without this connection he made? How many people are out there, in our world, desperately searching, perhaps even silently, for one person to give them an indication that it was worth it, battling against every circumstance, telling him that it's not worth anything?
Why me?
I don't know how he's able to physically pass the notebook to the protagonist, because clearly the max level link is explored after his physical passing, but we don't question that. It's not important. Also, given the protagonist passes away soon after and was the last person to have the notebook, it's a minor miracle that Akinari's Pink Alligator book was published. It's referenced in Persona 4 by both Nanako and Kenji. They never knew, nor ever will know, who Akinari was or the pain that he suffered, but their lives were enriched by what he did.
Even though the alligator didn't find meaning in his life, the residents of the forest did. They just didn't realize it.
It's still small consolation, though. I can't imagine a child saying this to their parent.
I'm sorry to have brought so much pain into your life, Mother.
I'd like to think that this, I hope we meet again, did indeed happen after the story's conclusion. It would be most fitting.
Take care of each other. Take care of your most important people. Like his heartbroken mother advises us, it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Just make sure they're loved. Care for them and spread it over as much time as you can, because none of us know how much any of us have left. And if you don't have that person in your life, you don't give up. Make no mistake, your life has inherent worth just by being on this planet. But if you need more proof, you go and find this person. Search for and look for them like Akinari did. Have strength and faith that you will do it. Because life's too short. And remember always, if you love someone, let them know it.
I'm sure you have something precious you can share with people too. Don't ever forget it.
Thank you, gamers, for joining me on this social link journey. I love video games because of stories like these, ones that investigate the highs and lows of humanity and everything in between. If you enjoyed this ride, please like and subscribe for more in-depth video game and RPG content right here at Gaming Introspection, including some more Persona videos that explore even more of this series. Thank you very much for watching, and take care of yourselves, gamers. It is always good to see ya.
Into it, even